Welcome into Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks. Got a great interview today, a very special guest here for our 2024 season preview, and that's the head coach of the Powdersville Patriots, Robert Mustar. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing well. Hope you guys are.
We are, and we appreciate your time. We really do. If this is you guys' first time tuning in, check us out on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. Website movingchains.com. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Coach Mustar, we headed into his 13th season with the Patriots. They went 5-6 last season, finished third in the region, and fell in the first round of the playoffs. Coach, let's start. Looking at maybe your offseason. I know last year you guys had to make some changes on the coordinator spots. You had some guys leave for head coaching jobs and whatnot. Any changes on the staff this season heading into the 2024 campaign?
Actually, no. I mean, our staff has stayed intact. We didn't lose anybody. We didn't gain anybody. And I can tell you, consistency is very nice. And man, I think we've got a great coaching staff, and we've got some guys who are former head coaches that are on our staff. You got Kyle Stewart, who used to be the head coach over at Liberty. He's on our staff. You got Doug Shaw, who used to be the head coach he was at Carolina. He was at Malden. He was at Palmetto. He's with us. And man, I've got Johnny Brewer, Stephen Emmer, guys who have been with us since like our second varsity season, which would have been 12 years ago. And I've got some guys like this, Bajay Lewis. He came to us from Lawrence, great young coach. E.J. Humphrey, a former player of mine. That's the first I've had of one of those come back, and he had a great career here. He went on to North Greenville, did some great things. Josh McWaters, he's from the Pendleton area, does a great job with our receivers. And Bernard Rambert, former Somerville and Clemson guy. And just these guys, it's great having around. They're great, I think, role models for our kids, and we want them to stick around as long as they're willing to stick around.
Coach, one of the cool and unique things about high school football is you kind of got to curtail your scheme and your system to who you have, player personnel wise that year. What are some of the schemes and, what are maybe some of the base things that you guys are going to run on offense and defense this upcoming season?
Well, I'll go ahead and I'll flip the question a little bit to defense. This is going to be the first year in quite a while where we're not running a true 3-man front. We've got, it's just a personnel thing, and we're going to see what happens. I'll tell you this, like our defense, I think Coach Nemmer and that side of the ball, those coaches, I think, do a tremendous job. It's no secret we've struggled to stop the run in years past, and it's shown. Somebody's slinging the ball all over the place, man, we can hang right there with you. And it's just, that's kind of been like our Achilles right there was stop and run game. That's just a point blank, honest answer, man. We look pretty good stop and run this year so far. Now it's early on, we've had 2 scrimmages. I felt like, our defense has come out and looked very well, especially that first unit when we send them out there on the field, but we're going more to a 4-man front. And that's all really based off of just the kind of kid we got. We've got more of an interior kid this year, and a little bit of backup or depth to go along with that we feel like, we're more suited for that. Let's get our best players on the field. Plus we've got some guys who, I don't know if you consider them like defensive ends or maybe outside linebacker type kids really, but we got them walked up, rush in type kids, and man, they bought into it so far. So far, so good. We've got a jamboree tomorrow night where we go to Tijuana. So get punched in the mouth real quick over there and get tested. But that's what we want. We want to say that we've seen, the best that we could have seen before we get into non-region and region play. Offensively, scheme's not changing very much. We've got different quarterback. It's the first time in a long time. We got a kid named Kagan Reed. He's going to be a junior for us. He's taller than what we've had in the past. And Eli Hudgens did a great job for us for 4 years. He's a kid that could beat you with his arm or his feet. Kagan's going to be more of a pocket type passer. He can run the ball, but so far so good. In the preseason stuff, like I was mentioning about the defense, he's going to be able to stand a little bit more in the pocket. He's a taller kid. When I think about the history of Powdersville High School football, we've had 2 kids that can probably really see over the line really well, and it's been quite a while since we've had one of those. He's making some wise decisions early on this, in the preseason, and I think I'm really looking forward to what I think he's going to bring to the table for us.
Coach, we're sitting here, it's mid-August. You mentioned you already had some scrimmages. Of course, you've already had, 7-on-7 season in the summer, all that stuff. What were you able to learn about your team throughout that process and even so early now here kind of in fall camp, I guess?
Well, I mean, every year it starts over. And I truth be told, last year we expected to be making a deep push in the playoffs, and it didn't happen. I'm not going to sit here and make up excuses either. But I will tell you, injuries are not a good thing. Okay. On top of that, there was a little team chemistry, though. There's a little rift in the chemistry, and I think, and it starts with me. I'm never going to throw anybody under the bus. It starts with me. I felt like we should have been back. I think as a whole, the attitude was, oh, we're going to be back. But we changed some things we were doing. And I'm not talking about calling plays or philosophy-wise. I think it was just like, we did this the year before. Why are we not doing this again? If you want it, we had the blueprint, and it was, why are we bucking it a little bit? Why we know these are things we're going to do. Don't ask questions. Let's just do them. So I think we've gotten back to that a little bit more. And, the kids, man, their attitudes have been great. We're looking to develop leaders all the time. And that's a hard thing to do. That's a hard thing to do is lead your peers, especially when you're a high school age kid, because everybody, I'm sure, I don't think there's a single person out there say, well, I don't want to be popular, or I don't want to be, disliked. So leading your peers and getting out of your comfort zone. And man, listen, you can get in their face during a practice. They screw up in a game. I'm good with it then, as long as you're doing your part. But at the end of the day, put your arm around them, hug them, love on them. And I'm talking about the players doing that to each other. And sometimes that's an unpopular thing. And I think this year we've got some guys who are going to be able to do it and do it in the right way.
Coach, I want to talk a little bit about last season. You mentioned, chemistry being a little bit off, dealing with injuries, and you're trying to fine tune some things because you do have the blueprint. I mean, you guys played for a state title a couple of years ago, and I was looking through your schedule. I think you lost 3 of those contests last year by a total of 5 points. How have you kind of used that as motivation, going into this year, and what are maybe some more things that you've kind of emphasized with these guys going into the year?
Well, okay, so you bring back a very sore spot with me.
Unintentional, Coach. Unintentional.
Yeah, but here's the thing. So those losses, man. I mean, you talk about gut wrenching. We're playing Broome here, week 0 last year, and listen, they had a good 1-2 punch with their quarterback and running back. I mean, it was throwing a ball, running a ball, the mix up between which one of the two of them was going to be keeping if it was a run. I mean, it was a good balance they had going. They came out and played really, really good, talking about Broome in the first half. It's like we took the first half off. Kind of had a little bit of an attitude adjuster at halftime. We come back out, and, man, we play really well in the second half. It's hard to win a ball game when you play 2 quarters out of the 4 that are offered for you. We end up we're down late, and we're down by 7, and I think it's maybe a minute and 20-something seconds left to go in the game. They kick off to us. We take it back for a touchdown. I elect to go for 2 because I'm thinking we just stole the momentum. We don't come up with it. That's a gamble we take, right? That's on me. We lose by 1 point. All right. The next week we're playing and hosting Abbeville. We end up, I think it was a 24-point lead that we had at one point in that game, and we end up losing in overtime by 1 point because we let down our guard and we started doing some different things. In that game, we played lights out in the first half. Second half, it was like we're comfortable. We're going to start doing things that we weren't doing in the first half. And trying to do too much. And man, it cost us. So first 2 games, we lost by a combined score of 2 points. That's some sleepless nights right there. We play Wren here. We host them. We lose to them, I believe, by 3. And doing some things that we haven't done. And they were a good team. So you're like, okay, well, you won 5 games. Man, we should have at least been 8 and whatever. All right. And then hosting a playoff game. All right. So that's tough. That's tough. So I think learning from your mistakes, the biggest thing is those games, especially after the first 2, we had to have a wake-up call because it was kind of like something went wrong, and then we were immediately expecting for something else to continue to go wrong. Instead of what we tell the kids, hey, if you make a mistake, don't let that turn into 2 negatives or 2 mistakes. And we were doing the exact opposite of that. It was like we messed up. Oh, here we go again. And luckily, week 2, it was our third opponent we had last year. Was Malden came over to here, and we were able to win a game. It felt like, hey, we're going to get rolling now or whatever. And then we played Pendleton. We're able to get a win there. And it was just kind of like touch and go. And it was a different feeling. And man, it's just we got a clean slate. I'm ready to start over. We have started over. Summertime, and you asked me this a minute ago about 7-on-7s, and I don't get into them too much. We do them because we got to do them. I mean, if you don't, you're going to be behind. You're allowed to do 10 of them. We do 5, and one of those we're going to take our JVs to really varsity. We went to 4. One of them's a tournament that was at Pendleton. The others are, hey man, let's get together with some dudes I respect, and let's just see some different faces and throw around a little bit. We spend more time really with ourselves, making corrections. Sometimes during 7-on-7, there's not a lot of downtime. And I feel like, man, if we can get like an hour, outside after we hit the weights or something like that, man, then I feel like we can learn more about ourselves in the summer doing it that way. That's what I believe. That's for us. That's not for everybody. There's some schools that, man, they're so happy about 7-on-7s and winning those tournaments and stuff. And that's great, but that's not our focus, man. We need to develop some other things. So I hope I answered your question about last year and kind of, those defeats and kind of learning from them. But right now I feel like we're in a good place. Don't want to be a comfortable place, So what we're seeing now is we're seeing that we're ahead of where we were last year. Whenever it comes to this point that we've had scrimmages, like I said, we go to Teohana for a jamboree tomorrow night. We'll learn a lot about ourselves after that. This is a good group of kids, though, man. Fun group to be around. Like I said, the leadership I think is going to be there, and that'll be tested throughout the season because there's going to be some lows. Are we looking perfect right now? Heck no, nobody is. We're looking sloppy. Some of the teams we're scrimmaging or whatever or going against, they're looking sloppy right now. But that's the way it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to be playing your peak game right now. I'd rather us progress throughout the season, get better, So we're learning some things, getting film on kids, going back. And that's the nice thing about scrimmages. You get some film, you can tell a kid, hey, look, you think you're doing this perfect. Let's take a look and see like what's the true story, So that's reviewing stuff. That's where we are right now.
Yeah, they what does it say? The eye in the sky never lies, right, Coach?
The eye in the sky don't lie is what they say.
Well, Coach, who are some special guys you've been able to identify that should be some big time playmakers, maybe some breakout, contributors for you guys here this fall?
Yeah, so offensively, I've already talked about Kagan Reed, going to be a junior. Talked about him at quarterback. Brandon Waldrop is a running back for us. He split some time last year with Jaden Pepper, who was a senior last year. And Brandon's a grinder. He's not a kid that, he's not going to complain. He's going to do he's one of the most coachable kids I've ever been around. Good hands come out of the backfield, so you can use him on some routes. He's going to punch it in there hard. He's going to block. He's going to do everything. And he's not just going to be on offense. He might have to play a little defense. He's on several special teams. But he's a winner. He's a winner, and that's contagious attitude being around him. Elijah Huggins on offense. You've heard that name before. He's been around for quite a while. He's special, and I've said this probably to you guys before in the last time we talked, but man, good things come in small packages, and that kid's dynamite. I mean, that kid, he is. If there's a blueprint of like this is what a student athlete should be like. I mean, he's got the grades. He's got the work ethic. Everybody is wants to gravitate around this kid. He's got to get an offer soon. I mean, I took him to the Citadel this summer. He loved it. And I went there, but there's not many kids that are like, hey, that's where I want to go. I mean, I was thinking that day, man, he's going to walk away with something because he was the dude at that camp. Didn't happen. They're going to keep an eye on him. But, man, don't let size be a reason you're not doing something because this kid will fool you. he's going to make you look bad. He's physical. He's strong. He's obviously fast. But, man, the things this kid does, and I'll say this just because I wish there were more kids out there in other high schools doing this. Since day one his freshman year, all right, in the cafeteria, we've got 3 lunches. And during his lunch, when the bell rings and it's over with, if somebody leaves their junk on the table, he's in there cleaning up somebody else's trash. And it's so I praise it. And what happens now, it becomes contagious, and you got other kids doing it. But he started that. And you can fake something one time, but man, 4 years later, you're still doing the same thing, his senior year. So that's just the kind of kid. His character's great. So you got those guys. Devias Wardell, we're looking for big things out of him at left tackle. Jed Rogers is going to play some right tackle for us, along with playing some defense for us. And I'm right now, I'm trying to think of just mainly, my seniors, give them a little bit of a shout out. Jashawn Knuckles is a kid that's a 2-way guy. At least early this season, he will be playing some receiver and defensive back is really his home. Jashawn has been playing for us on a varsity level since his 9th grade. He's never played any JV. Eli Hudgens is the only other kid in our program that ever did that. We try to get them in there, develop them if they're not ready. But, man, he was clearly the best we could put out there at corner his freshman year, so we just kind of continued. Another kid that'll be on a ton of special teams, so he's playing both ways. And we got to, when I feel like we can pull the trigger on getting some other kids out there on those special teams to get these guys a breather, we will. But right now, I don't believe in just those special teams get you beat. So let's put the best of the best, and then we can groom guys throughout the season. Elijah Bell is a guy that we're looking forward to. He's a very good wrestler for us too. He uses that leverage and that balance he's learned in wrestling out there on the football field. Does a tremendous job for us as a guard. Nashawn Schuler is another senior. That man, I got 2 of them right now battling injuries, and he had I believe it was ACL tear. In the off season, he got it. He had surgery on it, worked his butt off, and coming back. We have a scrimmage the other night, and he dislocates his elbow. So there's a little bit of a setback, but, we're hoping that's not going to be too long. So those are really the seniors. And then, so then on the defense side of the ball, speaking about an injured kid, that we're looking to get back soon, Brendan Works, tall, good-looking kid, filled out very nice, plays defensive back for us, mainly a safety position. He, he's another one that had surgery. It was after his track season. And, man, we thought, he's going to be back for these scrimmages. Well, we're kind of pumping the brakes a little bit. Now we want to make sure, like, he's good to go. He's, our trainer's saying he's almost 100%, But that kid, man, it's just the resiliency on some of these kids. Sometimes you get an injury, and it's like they might fold and say, man, it's just not for me. And like Nashawn's case, you work so hard, and then here's a different part of your body getting hurt before the season even gets started. So, man, it's hats off to them, man. They're a tough group of kids. Talked about Knuckles already, a little preview on him whenever I start talking about offense and defense, kid playing both ways. Will Wilkerson, man, he pound for pound, well, not pound for pound, he is our strongest kid in the weight room. Kid who's had a great all season throwing a shot put, discus and track. Busts his butt at that craft, comes out here in football. This will be his 3rd year with us, and he is hard-nosed, man. He's an old-school type kid, and he might have to play some both ways as well, along with Miles Fowler. Both those guys are your interior guys on the defensive line. Miles Fowler, you've heard the Fowlers. We had Trez Fowler, 2 years ago was a senior. Xavier Fowler was a knucklehead and a senior last year, and now you got Miles, and they're 3 brothers, great kids, love them to death. Nothing alike though. You wouldn't think they were brothers. They're just their mannerisms and stuff are so different, but man, they're great kids. I'm gonna enjoy having this last one this year, but very athletic, good sized kid, in the middle on the defensive line. Javi Mills, is a kid, that had a breakout season, I felt like, on varsity last year. He's back, and he's going to be one of those ends for us, along with Xavier Mays. We're really looking forward to, man. He has really stepped it up. He's had a great offseason. He's also going to be playing some running back. Jacob Matoka is a kid that plays linebacker for us, and man, you talk about a smart kid and I tell you how smart. I mean, he's really kind of in love with Davidson, and they've had a coach come up and see him and talk to him, and that's kind of a brainiac school, but I mean, he would excel there. He's a very smart kid, leads through example, athletic. I mean, he made some play for it, 2 years ago, pick against Clinton to kind of seal the deal in that upper state game, but he had a great year last year. So we're looking forward to having him back. Reese Rice is a corner that has been with us, and he did some special things in the second half of last season. So if you're a senior and you're like a projected starter and I left you off, I apologize, but I think I named just about all those guys.
We appreciate that, Coach. I'm sure they do too. And if something happens, maybe we can just give them a shout out in a different way. So we'll make that work for you. Coaches, we're catching you kind of late, before the season. We're about to get kicked off here. You mentioned you got a jamboree lined up. You're going to be playing TL Hanna. Coach Tone and that offense, they bring something different to the table. That's one of the better programs in the state of South Carolina as well. What are you looking forward to in that matchup against them? And then also kind of going back a little bit this summer, who have you lined up against, in previous jamborees this summer or scrimmages? Because I'll remember, man, the only thing that got me through fall camp back in the day was being able to go hit somebody else, every other day or so.
Yeah. So, well, try to answer your question in order. So TL Hanna, man, we're going over there, and I know we're going to see a quality opponent. That's the good thing. Okay, let's try to come out there without any injuries would be the second good thing. Let's put something on film we can go back and maybe make some corrections, because nothing's going to be perfect. We know that. And it's been quite a while since we've seen a team that does anything other than spread. Go back to Abbeville, we played Broome week 0 last year, Abbeville week 1. So it's been since week 1 of last year that we've seen anybody do anything differently. Hope I'm not forgetting another team, but I'm so in favor of going against them because we do play Abbeville, and although it's not the exact same, it's not what we do, and what we do is very common with what a lot of other people do. So we see enough of ourselves in practice. Let's see some other schemes and philosophies early in the season, so we can kind of get ready for those other opponents that might come across with a similar look. They're going to be big. They're going to be physical. They're going to be fast. Coach Tone does a great job. I've got a lot of respect for that guy and his program, the way they do things. So, we're looking forward to going over there. And it's weird because, Anderson County schools, there's 8 of us, okay? And we always used to do this Anderson County Jamboree. And it really started getting tricky because there were some years where the only 2 teams in Anderson County that we didn't have on our schedule were TL Hanna and Westside. And then, there were some years where, we were – so in the Jamboree, we're playing TL Hanna or Westside every single year, and it gets a little repetitive. Well, other coaches started feeling the same way. So 2 years ago, we branched out to actually it wasn't me, just Anderson County schools were maybe teamed up with some Oconee County schools, maybe Pickens County schools. I can't remember who else. And we went and played this Georgia, South Carolina deal where we played some teams on the other side of the lake. And I remember the first year it was Hart County in Georgia, right across the lake, played host to the games or whatever. We matched up against Franklin County. And I was like, man, this is pretty good. The second year, when all the teams are supposed to now come in South Carolina and we're going to make the money. Okay. There weren't contracts that were done, and some of these schools backed out. Okay. So Sheldon Evans, who orchestrated this thing, did a great job. Okay. But he had to go find some replacement teams and stuff. And so that thing we were done with it. And now we're just picking up. We're calling this thing a Jamboree tomorrow night, but what it really is our JV is going to play like a first half, and then varsity is going to play a second half. at Tijuana. Next year, they're going to return the favor, come to us, so we can make some money off of it. So, and I think that's good. Now you got everybody, your whole fan base can be in one place at one time. So we've never done this before, but it's going to be different. I'm in favor of it. So that's what we're looking for from Tijuana, just the physicality, I think. Just kind of pound you right in the face, early. I think that's good to get that. That's what you need. So that's where we are. Preseason, we've gone to West Side, and that was last Thursday, and then we the other night we were at Greer for a scrimmage, and it wasn't a multiple team deal. It was just that's who we saw the whole time. Was that one day was West Side, and the next time we went and had a scrimmage, that was against Greer. And I thought that our kids got better. That's what you want to see. Against West Side, man, there were some things we did that would look very sloppy. We know they're going to be good. And we told our kids, man, there's the defending 4A state chance and now playing in 5A. And are you scared? No, you're not scared. Let's go play ball. You're going to live. You're going to survive. And we got better. And that was great because we were able to see some good things you did on film. You saw some bad things you can correct, but you saw some good things too. And against Greer, I thought we got much better. Compared to when we went against West Side. So it's a process, and you just got to trust it.
Coach, with the new realignment, you guys, you're staying in 3A, but a lot of new teams in your region there in Region 2, 3A. Were you surprised with kind of how that shook out? And then also, do you have to change your off-season, preparation all playing some unfamiliar opponents here in the region play now, looking forward to this campaign?
So playing some different teams that we have in the past. And we like I said, Seneca was part of our region before. I even think we were playing them some non-region before they got in a region, and they got out. So we're familiar with them a lot. This will be the third year in a row we played Abbeville. Wren, we're always going to play because, that's who we broke off from. They're like 5, 6, 7 miles, whatever it is, down the road. Pendleton, we always play them. And then Broome, we've been playing them week 0. That just kind of got pushed back to the last non-region game. So none of that's really changed due to this. I will say that it's going to be different. But I'm looking forward to it. And here's why. Man, it's nice to do something different every once in a while. Just like, it's nice playing host and everybody's like, man, I'm ready to be home, I'm ready. Yeah, I like playing at home. But I like going on the road to somewhere you hadn't been before, and sometimes things get so repetitive that you're like the novelty wears off a little bit. Carolina has been in our region before. We hadn't played them since they weren't in our region. And that's been, a couple realignments ago. Palmetto's back in our region. All right. Then you got Christ Church and St. Joseph's and Southside Christian. And I've never been in a region with any of the private schools. And then here we are, and it's going to be different, but man, I think it's going to be a neat deal to go somewhere where you haven't been. And I'll go ahead and set this straight. And I don't know how popular this is. I don't care how popular this is. This is my philosophy and what we're telling our coaches here at Powdersville High School, and what we're going to tell our kids, like, welcome to the region. And I sincerely mean that. There was a plan for, to have a multiplier and all this, and that fell into place. They're in our region, and I want them to feel welcome. The process, for whatever reason that anybody was, uptight about, it was put into motion. And man, I've met these coaches. They seem like some great dudes. And being an athletic director also, we met with, we have region meetings. I've met with these ADs, and I think, man, the world of them. There's some great people that are leading their kids to do some special things. And I told them, I said, I never want you to ask, because they did. They were like, what do you guys feel about us coming in the region? And it was like a collective, like the 3 ADs kind of asked that. And I said, I never want you guys to ask that again. Like, you're in the region. You ought to feel welcome in the region. So we're looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to, when we go, I think we go to Christ Church this year. I think the other 2 are coming to us, but we've never played there before, so it's new. It should be exciting. And I'm looking forward to it.
Need a new ride to get you to the big game? Founders Federal Credit Union has auto loan rates that'll get you in the driver's seat without breaking the bank. And here's the best part. No payment for up to 90 days. Drive to victory with a loan that suits your budget. Visit foundersfcu.com/auto today and score your dream car with an auto loan from Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Member qualification required.
Coach, a couple more before we let you go today. We talked off air. You guys, you're playing week 0. You've done that now for a couple of years in a row. Do you like kind of getting that early start so you get that bye later on, or would you prefer to maybe have that extra week of prep, or does it kind of depend on the season with the team that you got, really?
Man, it's a catch-22. I was very adamant that we were not going to play week 0 this year. And that's why so we had been. The first time we ever played week 0 was or was it 2 years ago when we went to Broome, and last year they came to us, so that fulfilled that. And I told Coach Fleming, I was like, man, I'm good. Like because it gets to you so quick, it's a rush. You feel like, are we prepared? Could we gotten in, spread our scrimmages out a little bit, maybe had a later jamboree, something as like a little later dress rehearsal. And it's just things that it sneaks up on you a little bit. And I don't care how much you think you're ready. You're just like, oh, man. It's not – and I'm not talking about the coaching part of it. It's just the administrative side of it, the everything, the like, hey, this is our first, we're hosting a home game. We got enough gate workers, all this kind of junk. And every and I guess that's more of an AD kind of thing. But crap, there was 2 years ago, first year we played week 0, I think it was, we're getting ready to go out in the field, and our kids like, hey, Coach, we putting helmet decals on, stickers on the side of our helmets. I was like, oh yeah, there's that. So it is, and I'm a knucklehead anyway. But man, so yeah, it just sneaks up on you. So I was very adamant we weren't going to do it. All right, talked to Coach Fleming. I said, if you can find anywhere else on your schedule for us to play you, let's do it. We end up hooking up for week, week 4. All right, because then we'll have a bye week before our region play starts. But then I'm forced into the way the schedule worked out, and everybody, man, when these realignments come out, it's like everybody's hitting, the stock market all at the same time, man. People are wheeling and dealing and making these, calls, and if you're not on it, on the spot, you're going to get left behind, and so you're, it was like, oh, we got to make a decision. I don't want to play week 0, but Coach Crane is asking if we can play week 0, and it worked out. So we got, our full schedule, but yeah, we had to revert to going back to playing week 0. So it is what it is. And I think there's, it used to be there were fewer and fewer teams that did it. Now, when you talk to people, it's like, I'm thinking, yeah, we're one of the few. And then, oh, you're playing week 0 too. You're playing week 0. So I think more teams are going to it. And here's the thing, after that first one, then you're thankful. Then you're like, all right, well, we're in a groove. We've already got that first one under our belt. So there you go.
Coach, I don't know if we've asked you this before. We've talked multiple times, but I got to ask the requisite food question. Powdersville area, what are some go-to spots for you? Kevin and I are foodies. We need to know, man, if we're coming over for a Friday night and we want to grab a bite to eat before the game, where should we go?
That's a great question. If you will, and listen, man, I don't brag, okay, but there is one thing I will speak very highly of myself about is, and I know some good food. All right, my coaches pick on me. They're like, if you need a food recommendation, go ask Mustar. Okay, I will tell you that in town here, all right, we've got a place called Nick Henry's, and Nick Henry's it's like the home of the bird dog, and I'm sure you guys know what a bird dog is. So, but Nick Henry's is a pretty special place. That's going to be the most popular answer you're going to get from people. So that's a big one. I will tell you, right next door to Nick Henry's is probably my go-to. It's just been since middle school. It's been there. It's called Athens. It's just a burger club sandwich kind of place, onion rings, half and half, get a little coleslaw on the side. They've got some other things, steak fingers. Listen, I don't even look at the menu. When I walk in there, it's like, all right, I know I'm getting the baby club half and half, which is great for you, by the way.
Yes, sir.
All right. And then, or I'm getting, the jumbo cheeseburger plate. What makes it jumbo? I don't know. It's just what they call it. All right. Half and half. It's always half and half. Or steak. If you really want to feel good about yourself while you're eating, but real bad later on. You know, you get the steak fingers, and it'll.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But man, that's a good one. Then you got Reuben's. Okay, they're all kind of tucked together. Now Reuben's are probably some of the best wings that I have had. I don't know if you remember a place called Chiefs.
Yeah.
So I don't know the story, if it's the owner, the cook, somebody broke off from there. Whenever that place disassembled, they came over and created this place. That's the wise tale. I don't know I don't know the people over there. I know this. I don't go late at night because they got karaoke, and I although I think that's hilarious, and I love the people watch. I'm not going to get up there, and I'm not. I'm just kind of an earlier guy than what I used to be as far as getting home. So if I go, it's going to be sometime earlier. And but man, the wings. And listen, I hate a slimy wing. Okay, so you got to ask for your wings extra crispy.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what I do. And they've got they've certain times when you go, you guys, if you're coming through here to watch a game, you know you're going to be on a Friday, so you're going to miss out. But one day a week, I think they've got like all you can eat wings. Arnold's is a great burger place. These places are all in this like plaza pretty much. And if I'm leaving anybody else out, hate it for you. You're not giving me any free food. So
I love that.
Well, Coach, you know, maybe it's in your office on a Friday, or maybe on the bus to an away game. But you know, what's on your pregame playlist? Do you like kind of getting the music to get you ready to roll to get out there on the field?
I'll tell you this, our kids, you know, they play stuff that I don't even recognize. I mean, you know, I don't listen to, a lot of times I'm trying to, you know, either not take a nap, but just shut my eyes. Cause man, you got a million things running through your head. I don't listen a whole lot I listen to music all the time. So it's very ironic that I don't listen to it on a bus, you know. Now, if we're coming back from someplace, the game is over with, you know, maybe, but I just kind of have my routine. But man, if I had a playlist, you would hear an assortment of about everything. I mean, it's anything from country to, I mean, it'll be something heavy metal. It'll be, you know, there's a lot. I mean, I'm a big Red Hot Chili Peppers guy. I love them. They can kind of get me going. I mean, you can go back, as corny as it is, you can go back to the Rocky soundtrack and listen. I mean, that one song when he's in his Ferrari and Rocky IV driving down the road after Apollo Creed passed away, pretty daggum good song.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And that's kind of evolved around here, a little Rob Zombie stuff like that, and then some country, you know, sprinkled in there. You know, so just a little bit of everybody. And the kids would make fun of me. They would think that's Bruce Springsteen. You can't go wrong with Fleetwood Mac. So a bunch of that kind of stuff. But I listen to music constantly. It just, the one time I really don't is kind of like before the game. Now our kids in the locker room are listening to stuff, and I'm like, I don't know I don't even know what it is. So it's probably best I don't. So it just
hard hit.
Yeah.
Sorry, Coach. Hard-hitting journalism here. I got to ask you, what country are you listening to? Kevin listens to this new stuff, and I don't even know what that is. So, you know, I cut off about like 2010-ish, pre-2010. I don't know what Kevin listens to.
I tell you, so I'm a little all over the place with that too. So I'm a big Jason Aldean guy. Jason Aldean. I went to a concert of his. My daughter and my wife got me these tickets when he was up in Charlotte 2 years ago. And I've been to a bunch of concerts, probably the best concert I've been to. Why? Because you know the words to his songs.
Yeah.
He puts on a great show. He plays forever. The crowd was into it. Great. I mean, so I'm listening to him a bunch. Don Williams, if you want to go way back, man, Don Williams is very, very hard to beat. If you don't like Don Williams, then you've got something wrong with you. George Strait, you know, is a huge one, you know, and that's just some of them. But yeah, man, I'm all over the place. Listen, I've been to Ozfest to see Ozzy Osbourne, and they had, you know, Rob Zombie, and they had System of a Down, and all these, and that was pre my child, by the way. Okay, and then you go to, you know, I've seen Eric Clapton in concert, and Metallica, Bruce Springsteen a couple times. You know, Elton John, Billy Joel, you know, and so it's been all over the place. But that Jason Aldean concert was, so if I'm telling you that was impressive, man, it's pretty high up there on the list.
Yeah, he puts on a good show, no doubt about it, Coach.
Yeah.
Last one here for you. Do you guys have any goals set for this 2024 season for the Powdersville Patriots?
We have not gotten together yet, and it's kind of by design.
Mm-hmm.
There's a process, and that's just what works for us. But we'll talk about it, and I encourage our kids to get together, them, and talk about it. Talk about what are their goals, team-wise, individual-wise. And I'd like for us to get some kind of a chart, like accountability chart going this year. I don't believe that, we talk a whole lot about winning a region, winning upper state, winning state. We didn't do it 2 years ago. We knew, and I've said this to you guys before, said it to a lot of people. I do. I believe in the whole 1-0 deal, man. You just got to focus on the here and now. If you get too far ahead, now there might be some teams that are just loaded, and that's their tradition, and they know, they're like, man, if we don't win this, and it's a failure of a season. I believe you got to find some success in everything you do, and man, like, hey, today we had a great practice. Hey, tomorrow let's do the same and have a great, and let's stack those up, and then, man, I think that's a recipe for success. Is that the way everybody does it? No, but I mean, here that's what we do. I mean, you got to enjoy the moment, because there were some times last year where, man, I was flat out miserable. And so with other coaches and our players, because we weren't where we wanted to be. But then when we look back on it, we're like, yeah, we lost this game by this point or this point. And like, we're so close, and you got to find some happiness and some success in something you're doing. It's out there. You got to look for it, man. And, these kids only got 4 years with us. I want them to think that, they're doing some good things, and they are. And, so we're looking forward to, now I hope all those things I said that we don't talk about, I hope all those things happen, but I mean, there's got to be some luck on your side too. And staying healthy is one of those things.
Well, this has been great. I want everyone to go check out the Powdersville program on Facebook and Twitter. They do a great job posting updates about their kids and their program. Definitely follow them on there. Like I mentioned, follow us on all social media platforms. MovinTheChains.com is our website, and our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Moving the Chains brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Jerel, any else for Coach? We'll let him go today.
Well, first off, Coach, thank you so much for your time today. Kevin and I, we do like pre-production stuff. We make lists on coaches that we want to talk to, and then we make coaches we have to talk to. And you made the had to this year because we hadn't caught up with you in a while. And it's always great to speak with you because you're actually the first head coach to give us a shot and speak with us long form. So we'll be forever grateful for that. Yeah. We wish you a happy, healthy season. We hope you guys, do everything and achieve the goals that you're looking to do each week. And we'll certainly be rooting for you. And thanks again for your time.
Hey, man, no, thank you guys. And I think this is something you need to know. You guys took a chance, okay, putting this thing together. And if it would have flopped, oh, well, you took a chance, right? You got to put your best foot forward. But y'all took a chance, and this thing is taking off. I think it's like a thing now that people are like, man, I want to be on there, or like they mentioned me or my school, and you got your preview deal that came out the other night. Of course, I'm gonna listen a little bit about the 1 and 3A and polls and stuff like that. I'll use that as motivation for the kids if it's not something flattering, but it's kind of middle of the road for us. There's a little talk, a little not talk, but just I'm entertained by it. You do your research and stuff, and I mean, hats off to you, because more than anything, you're giving the kids exposure. And there's some kids in the lower part of the state, man, if I don't play you, I don't really keep up with you, but I'm forced to hear something about you. And I think that's a good thing, so I want to thank y'all so much for what you do. Y'all keep up the good work.
Well, we really appreciate that, Coach. Like I said, your program has meant a lot to us over the years, so we appreciate your support as well, and look forward to stopping by our practice or game and get to see you again here soon. And best of luck this season, all right?
Y'all take care.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.